Hello, everyone, and welcome to the June 2023 Consulting webinar. Everything you wanted to know about securely sharing files with DirectShare. My name is Michael Mathis. I am the Solutions Director at CDI, and I will be your host for today's webinar. During today's webinar, if you do need help at any time, please post questions in the questions box. We will have staff monitoring the questions, and we will have time for question and answers at the end of today's webinar. If you need help at any time, please raise your hand, and we will be able to assist you if you are no longer able to hear me or if my screen sharing goes out. Tips for success for today's webinar. Be sure to take notes and/or screenshots. I find it helpful to notate how far along into the webinar we are so that you can match up your notes with the recording after. Don't be afraid to ask questions. We love to hear all of your questions, and we will have time dedicated at the end of today's webinar for answering all questions. Please complete the survey after today's webinar. We love hearing all of your feedback and all of your ideas for future webinars. And please remember that this webinar will be recorded and available on the CDI YouTube channel within a few days of today's webinar. If you'd like to go back and watch it later or share with others, please be sure to do so from the CDI YouTube channel. Getting started, everything you wanted to know about securely sharing Laserfiche files with DirectShare. The intended audience for today's webinar are Laserfiche end users, and this webinar is applicable to both Laserfiche self-hosted environments and Laserfiche cloud environments. If you're not a Laserfiche end user, please do stay in today's webinar as there is plenty of valuable information for everyone. During our webinar today, we'll first review DirectShare. We'll learn how to share documents with DirectShare, how to track which documents have been shared and with whom. And finally, we'll go through a live demonstration of what we have learned today. As a child, I learned two things. First, my drawings are a masterpiece worthy of my mother's fridge. And second, sharing is caring. As an adult, I learned caring is a lot of work. Who did I share this document with? Did they look at it yet? Is this document secure? With Laserfiche DirectShare, all of that is handled for you. You are able to securely share documents with any external users, such as citizens, customers, employees, vendors, or anyone else. You're able to track what has been shared, with whom, and if the documents have been viewed. All of this functionality is available within the Laserfiche web client, as well as the Laserfiche mobile app. Recently, Laserfiche DirectShare has expanded service limits. The share expiration has been extended from a maximum of 7 days to a maximum of 30 days, depending upon your service level, as well as the maximum file size being increased from 200 megabytes to 1 gigabyte or more, again, depending on the service level of Laserfiche DirectShare that you are subscribed to. Laserfiche DirectShare is very easy to use, especially if you are familiar with the email basket in Laserfiche web client. In order to use Laserfiche DirectShare, users will need a named user license and will need the export or print permissions within Laserfiche. To get started, users will select one or more documents or folders to securely share with an external user. And using the Share button in the toolbar, or by right-clicking on Documents and selecting Share from the menu, we are able to open the Laserfiche email basket in order to share our documents. At the top of the email basket, we can see which documents we have selected to share, and we can specify a custom page range for each of the documents. So if we only wanted to share the first page of a document, we could do so. Under the Share Via option, we'll select DirectShare. We are able to specify our recipients, the email subject, and an email message that will be included in the email sent to the recipients. We're able to set our share expiration from anywhere from 1 day to up to 30 days. And finally, we can also specify a password that will be needed prior to the recipient being able to access the documents. After we click send, an automated email will be sent to the end user, allowing them to open their files through Laserfiche DirectShare securely using the Get Your Files link within the email. Once the user clicks on Get Your Files, they will be brought to the Laserfiche DirectShare portal, where they are then able to download either the individual files that they would like, or downloading all files using the Download All button. The files being shared with the end user, or with the external user rather, are read-only. The external user will not be able to save any changes to the Laserfiche repository, and new files cannot be added to the repository using Laserfiche DirectShare. After documents are shared, we are able to manage the documents that we have shared with external users using the Shared special folder on the left-hand side of the Laserfiche web client. This view will show us all of the files that we have shared and with whom they have been shared with. We're also able to stop sharing those files or disable the link to those files if we no longer want to share them. This shared view is only going to show the files or the DirectShare links that the current logged in user has shared. As a Laserfiche administrator, we can go into the Manage area of the repository and select the Activity tab on the left-hand side. And here we can view and manage shares from all of our users. We have the same functionality as what is available within the repository view, where we can see which documents have been shared, whether or not the files have been downloaded, and we are also able to disable the share link as needed. Now that we've learned what DirectShare is and how we can use DirectShare, we are going to jump into the Laserfiche repository and review how to utilize DirectShare. For our demonstration today, I am going to be using Laserfiche Cloud. All of this information is going to be applicable to Laserfiche self-hosted environments as well. To get started, I have a very simple FOIA request business process where our starting event from an external user will create a process task for our city clerk, who will then fulfill that records request. Once the records request is approved and fulfilled, an additional email will be sent to our initiator, letting them know that the request has been fulfilled and they can access their documents. We're also going to specify a DirectShare password that will be entered into the form when the request is fulfilled. If the request is rejected, we will send out a separate email letting the requester know why the request has been rejected. The business process portion is completely optional and is not required for using DirectShare. However, it does make for a more fun webinar. So to get started, I'm going to be Frank. Oops, let's save and publish. And now I'm going to be Frank McFrankerson, to be specific. I'm going to enter my email address. Optionally, I could fill in my mailing address if I would like to receive the documents through mail as well. And I will fill in my description of the request. Requesting to see all contracts with Dole Industries. As Frank the citizen, I'm going to submit my request. And Laserfiche Cloud, I can then see my notification that a new fulfillment request was assigned to me as the city clerk. I see all of the information filled in, and I will review our description. So I would like to see all contracts with Dole Industries. Perfect. In my repository then, I can search for all of my contracts based on the contracts demo template. The vendor is going to be Dole Industries, and I will perform my search. Here I see 2 documents that showed up in my search results, so I'm going to select all of my records. Here I can right-click and select Share, and these will add the documents into my email basket. Here I'm not quite sure if these are all of them, so I'm going to close my email basket, and I want to run one more search just to verify. I'm going to search all text for Dole Industries. And we did find one additional document, and this is an invoice. So here I'm going to, I can either right-click and select Share, or click the Share button again in the toolbar to add that additional document into this same request. So you don't need to find all of the documents in one search or in one folder. You can add them into your email basket, close out of your email basket, and add in additional documents as needed. In Share Via, I'm going to select DirectShare. We'll put in the to address from the request. I can change my subject to something more delightful. I will enter a message body. And here I'm going to set a password. And I'll select the send button to then send these documents securely to our requester of the files. And before I forget what I put in for my DirectShare password, we will put that into our form, and I can then approve the request. If I look in my email, I can see that I have view emails for DirectShare. I can get my email to move over to the correct monitor. There it is. So here I have my email to the user who sent the files. So as the Laserfiche user, I receive a copy of an email saying I have shared these files. I have the email as the end user with the subject of my request has been fulfilled. And I have my Get Your Files link available. And finally, I can see my email with the initial request attached, as well as our password to access the files. If I click the Get Your Files button, I'm then brought to the Laserfiche DirectShare portal, where I am then prompted to enter my password. When I select Next, I can see my password was invalid. There we go, third time's the charm. And here I can see all of the documents that are available. I can also see they will expire on June 15th, 2023, and who had sent me the files. Before we download any files, I'm going to go back to the Laserfiche repository, and we are going to look at our current shares. Here I can see the latest share that we had just shared, and we have no files downloaded yet. Putting on my Frank hat again, I can download just the one document and view that file. Once that happens, if I refresh in Laserfiche, it immediately changes to show that some files have been downloaded. And again, when the user downloads all files, this will download all files together in one zip folder. Back in Laserfiche, we can refresh and see that all files have been downloaded. As a Laserfiche administrator, we are able to go to Repository Administration. On the left-hand side, under Activity, we can select the DirectShare tab. And here we're able to see all of the shares and all of the documents that have been shared by all users. So here, if I no longer wanted Andrew Elber's share to be active, I can disable this link, even though I did not share this document and I am not a recipient. If I decide later that this does need to be shared again, or I accidentally stopped sharing the wrong file, it is not possible at this time to re-enable that share. However, we can click on the file that has been shared, and this will take us directly to that document in the repository, where we could then reshare that document. Alternatively, if the link had expired and you want to reshare those files again, we can see, I'm going to go to the repository view just to show this one more time from a different view. We could open up each of the documents that have been shared and again add them into our email basket to generate a new share. This concludes the live demonstration for today's webinar. If you do have any further questions or would like to learn more, there are plenty of resources available, such as Laserfiche Answers, Laserfiche Solutions Exchange, Laserfiche Support, or the CDI YouTube channel. You could always contact us using consulting, sales, or support at citiesdigital.com if you do have additional questions or would like to speak to someone at CDI. And again, my name is Michael Mathis, the Solutions Director at CDI. And at this point, we will stay on for any questions that anyone may have. If you do have any questions, please enter them into the questions area, or you can also raise your hand. And thank you everyone for attending today's webinar. If you do have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to CDI at any time. We are happy to answer any questions. And also please complete the survey that will be sent out shortly after today's webinar. We do love hearing all of your feedback.